All right. Happy early Merry Christmas. Just 2 days away. This is December 23rd, 2022. Already feels like 2023, and I'm sure a lot of you feel that way. Like it, we've been talking about 2023, and I know this year went fast. It seems like we're already in 2023. But actually, I have a question for everybody. Put in the chat. What's your temperature right now? I'm looking at my computer screen, and it's probably a good service where it says freeze warning. There's like a little red triangle and it says freeze. I was out for lunch and it was already getting nippy. But nippy in Florida, cold in Florida is not the same as cold as in Wisconsin, Ohio, Oklahoma, Montana, Alaska. So you watch this, put it in the chat, even if it's between now and the new year. A lot of people watch this later. Put in the chat, what is the temperature where you are right now? Like it is starting to get really, really nippy. We're supposed to be in the 25-degree mark tonight, New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. Stay warm, stay safe. And by the way, for the folks that are local, if you're newer to Florida or you haven't experienced something like this, make sure to cover your plants. And if nobody in the villages has a well, but just outside the villages, there's some rural areas. Make sure that you're covering your well and make sure that probably a good idea if you are in the villages. Something we've done with our property management program with people that are in it that weren't around. We basically shut off the sprinkler system so water is not spraying all over the place and killing plants. As we don't want it to be wet before it freezes. So that's a thing you need to watch out for sure. 290 properties, 290 properties on the market. We've actually seen a reduction in inventory, and in fact, the 7-day numbers indicate 19, I believe it was 19 new properties have hit the market, which isn't surprising. That's really low. That's a low number for anything that's going to be listed right around the holidays, and then 29 properties going under contract last 7 days. That's pretty darn good, considering a couple of days, 7, 10 days before Christmas. That's a really good run up. I'm suspecting that this season, meaning January, February, March, is going to be really busy. I'm anticipating that partially because of the cold weather, partially because we've seen enough time between the election, and I think things are starting to look a little bit more optimistic on some things. We'll see. Inflation numbers coming down a couple of weeks ago, I think, have helped. And of course, interest rates dropping, and then they've gone up just a slight touch. I think this is pretty much what we're going to be looking at. And I think people have come to that realization. This is what it is. But today, I want to talk to you about, all right, how long are things taking? And what you're seeing right now on the market in the villages, closed days on market. You're looking at CDOM, closed days on market average. If you look at, and this is just for this year, if you look at it, and this is really a real interesting trend because it also tells you what's happened. It's another indicator with what's happened in the marketplace. We know earlier part of this year, we've seen it. Okay, homes were selling like hotcakes very, very fast. After April, started to slow down. And then you're looking at it, the closed days on market, 12 in January. This is Villages MLS, February 14, March 11, April 11, interest rates. There was interest rates starting to hit, going up 15, 15, 19, 29, 33, 33, all the way in October and September, November, 30 days on market, and now 50 days on market for December so far. And we're not done with December, but it gives you an idea of what we're looking at. So if we were to say, okay, well, what's the average? Let's take not 10 years, but let's look at the average, 5 years. What's the typical average? And this gives you an idea. Like we know closed days on market. Look at 9 in August of 2021. Traditionally, let's look at 2018, 2019. Lots of 40s and 50s. 69 in March of 2019. Interest rates were going actually higher. That was very similar to what we're seeing now. 65 in February 2019. So it gives you historically 91, 2017, January. That's how long things took, 2 to 3 months to actually sell a home. And that's what we're seeing right here. right? We're seeing, January through November of this year, 12 to 30, we're seeing a climb and more of a return to what we've traditionally seen pre-COVID. I think that's basically what we're seeing as far as everything except price, because I think the difference is that in order to see that kind of return in price to what we saw in 2019, we'd have to see a dramatic, like way increase, like maybe doubling what we see now, maybe 500-600 homes on the market, which, who knows, maybe it does happen. But until we see that, I don't think we're returning to 2018, 2019 pricing. So for the folks that are looking for that, you can hope. I just don't see it, right? I do see an adjustment in pricing, and we've already experienced that. So leave your comments in the chat. Love to see what you're thinking as well. Also, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. There's another thing I want to show you. So before we take off for the holiday, there's something else I wanted to show you here. And if we look at, let's take a look at, let's see, closed days on market. Okay, we do want to look at that. And then we want to look at by price, by list price. And there's some interesting things here that we can take a look at that I think are super important, right? So if we're looking at the different price ranges here. Okay, the different price ranges are such where, obviously it does make a difference. It does make a difference how many or what the price is as far as, okay, how long is it going to take? So this is going to give you an idea, right? You're thinking about putting your home on the market. You're thinking about in the Villages specifically. It's going to be different depending on where you are, but specifically the Villages, and talking about Villages MLS, right? We're not talking about BLS, MLS. Realtor. This is the realtor world. So 0 to 100. Obviously, there's not that many homes that sell under $100,000 anymore. There used to be, we used to have a lot of those in the historic section, east of 441 here in the Villages. But now a handful, very small, still mobile homes, 100 to 150 price range, 55 days on market on the average. And this is, we're looking at 2017 to 2022. And then you're looking at 44 days, 200 to 250, 250 to 300, 39, 39, 35. Typically, this is historically, you're looking at 30 to 40 days, right? That's probably, that's basically, the average of what we're looking at, on a historic level. But now I want to look at, what I really want to look at is now I want to look at what are we seeing right now? What are we seeing like this year? I want to put my home on the market. That gives you a little bit of perspective, and I think it's smart to actually take it under consideration. What's the traditional? So that way you put it on the market and you're not saying after 45 days, how come it's not selling? You understand that traditionally we've seen 30, 40, 50 days on market over the last 5 years. Now, where are we right now, year to date? Okay, so let's look at that. Year to date, we're going to generate that. We're going to look at what is it taking this year. And this is going to tell you something else as well. Like you start looking at the price ranges. Let's start with 200 to 250, 18 days on the market, 250 to 300, 15, 3 to 315, 19, 18, 22. And as the prices go up, it takes a little bit longer. Mostly, like there is an anomaly between 600 and 800 where the days on market comes down, but typically the sweet spot of this marketplace, 200 to 400, you're looking at about 18, 19, 15 days in that ballpark, a couple of weeks to get a home sold. Now these are using, keep this in mind, year-to-date numbers, year-to-date average. So what happens is it's also mixing in early part of this year to now. What I want to show you here is kind of the obvious, which is from 2 to 400, it takes less time to sell that type of home than it would be like a premier or a very special type of home with a golf course view on the water, that type of thing. The higher the price range, typically the curve goes up, days on market goes longer. So 800 to $1 million plus, it's taking 43 to 60 days ballpark on the average. Now, there's something else that we need to look at that's one step closer to getting an even more accurate view. So now let's close the gap and let's look at, let's say September. Let's look at the last quarter, right? September through December. Let's generate this. This is going to be very interesting. Okay. Now the current time period. How long are things taking? And what you're going to see here is 250 plus, looking at 33 to 39 days, anomaly between 600 and 700, 14, and then 700, 800, 20 days. So typically, I think you can expect 30 to 40 days on the $200 to $400,000, $200 to $500,000 range, and anything over 800 plus taking 50 to 60 days. Now, that tells you exactly what's happening in the market. That tells you how long things are taking. But there's one step more. There's one more step. And the one more step is this, the qualifier is this. You got to make sure that number one, you're priced right. For the folks that are pushing the envelope, we're not in that time period of like, oh, let's try it up here when the market is saying here. Range is about here. If you're trying up here, you're going to be on the market longer. Or guess what? You're not going to sell. Keep in mind what we're looking at is we're looking at numbers on properties that closed. Not active properties, not properties that are sitting, but the properties that are actually closing. It's taking 30 to 50 days on the average in that 200 to 400 price point. And then anything over the 800 plus is taking 45 to 60 days. If it's priced right, things are in good condition. And priced right, by the way, it dictates everything. Because even if it's not in great condition, the price needs to be actually lower than something apples to apples that's actually, looks great, right? It needs to be lower if it doesn't look as good. So smells good, looks good. My agents know this. We talk about this a lot. Smells good, looks good, and has great curb appeal, priced right, not giveaway price, priced right. This is the time frame that we're really, really looking at. I think hopefully this is super helpful for those that are thinking about selling. If you're not in this marketplace, by the way, if you're not in the Villages, have your realtor somewhere else, wherever you are, you think about selling, have them pull up this, be really detailed. That way they understand it, you understand it, your expectations will be right. You're not going to get frustrated. You can understand what the market is doing. And if you're local, make sure the realtor here they're pulling up these numbers so that way they can navigate the marketplace correctly, position you versus the competition where you win. That's exactly what you should be looking for in a realtor in today's marketplace. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody. Hope everybody just stays safe, stay warm, enjoy the holidays, this is a great time to plug in and enjoy the people you want to be around and enjoy food and just look and just enjoy it. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody.